Netflix bought Warner Brothers. We got to get into that. I got that alert last night.
Got some news. We're going to go to literally
Warner
right
Brothers,
now.
The shares are halted. Warner Brothers Discovery shares are halted. So I don't know. It could.
I think we are here.
It's out.
I think we've been waiting for it.
Press release is out.
Press release is out. And let's explain to the public what's happening here.
Not the biggest secret in the world that Netflix.
Netflix is the winner.
Is the winner, and the deal's done apparently at this point, and the details will be forthcoming, and we'll see whether regulatory muster becomes a problem. I know that at least Warner Brothers is halted at this point. I figure Netflix probably is at this point. Let's see. Following, it will be after, obviously, the separation of, some of the cable.
Well, you have two deals going on here. So you have
that one happened.
Netflix is going to be buying the streaming business.
$27.75 a share. It says cash and stock for
$27.75, and most importantly, on the regulatory side of this deal, if you're looking, the breakup fee is $5.8 billion.
More than.
So, people have been discussing
Paramount.
How regulators would think about this transaction.
Right. Equity value, $72 billion. And total enterprise value, $82.7 billion at this point.
That's with the debt piece of it.
That's with the debt.
Right.
That it is one of the most storied, Warner Brothers, one of the most storied studios and entities in Hollywood, obviously. And it culminates, I guess, with Zaslav able to deliver, I guess you would say, to shareholders at this point of Warner Bros. A heck of a lot better than $12 or $11 a share.
Given where it had fallen to.
Given where it had fallen to.
The big question on the regulatory side is going to be, the argument effectively here is if you look at the Paramount transaction, that would have effectively taken out a studio, right? In this case, you're not taking out a studio. That's a big part of the argument. The other argument that Netflix is effectively going to have to make, and Time Warner is going to have to make, or I should say Warner Brothers is going to have to make effectively, is to argue that it's not just looking at the marketplace in the context of streaming itself, but to look at it in the context of time spent online, eyeballs and the like. You're going to have to effectively include YouTube viewing and Amazon Prime and so many others, so that you're not just looking at the paid streaming business. What you're looking at there?
All right, so let me break this down. I'm gonna share with y'all Wall Street Journal's details of it because they splitting off some of the services. All right, so this is the breakdown of it, and I can't wait to get into Stock Club. I think I'm gonna do an emergency because I told y'all in the live stream last night that I was going to be doing at least 2 a week's live streams. I'm moving it up, and hopefully I can span it up to about 4 to 5 streams a week in Patreon alone. So I'm going to be pivoting more into doing content in the Patreon. And so last night we did the business one. This weekend, I think I'm going to do a Stock Club, and then we're going to go from there. So with that being said, so Warner Brothers is to split its studios and HBO Max streaming business from its cable networks. Paramount and Comcast also have made offers. So it goes in and say Netflix has agreed to buy Warner Brothers for $72 billion after entertainment company splits, and then obviously other additional splits and fees bring that up to roughly $83 billion. Says that after the entertainment company splits its studios and HBO Max streaming business from its cable networks, a deal that could reshape the entertainment and media industry. Now, I think that a lot of that is not only just because, they want to make sure that they get the right assets, but I think it's also because they want to avoid antitrust and they want to make sure that they're competing, and so they don't have any problems when it comes to regulatory approval. So, again, we're going to deep dive into this in Stock Club because I've been all over it this morning. That's all I've been reading about and studying about all this morning. The cash and stock transaction Friday after the two sides entered into an exclusive negotiation for the media company known for Superman and Harry Potter movies, as well as hit TV shows Friends. All right. The offer is valued at $27.75 per Warner Discovery share and has an enterprise value of roughly $83 billion. Rival Paramount which sought to buy the entire company, including Warner Cable Networks, bid $30 per share for an all-cash for Warner Discovery. According to people familiar with the matter, Paramount is weighing its next move. People familiar with his plans. A lot of these companies are just trying to survive, to be honest with you. This is on Netflix's website. Today, Netflix, the company, announced they have entered into a definitive agreement under which Netflix will acquire Warner Brothers, including its film and television studios. The cash and stock transaction is valued at, we already read that. Transaction is expected to close after the previous announced separation of Warner Brothers Global Division, Networks Division, Discovery Global, into a publicly traded company, which is now expected to be completed in Q3. Which the reason why I'm deep diving into this, because Warner Brothers is still going to exist, but that part of their portfolio is what Netflix is buying. So Netflix has no interest in building out or being a part of their cable network and then other divisions of Warner Brothers, but it wants its catalog. Netflix is buying the catalog. Netflix does not want to be in the cable business because Netflix is in its own streaming business. So the thing that's going to make this unique, and the reason why we need to break this down inside a stock club, is not only because we want to know what the target is as far as where Netflix is going to go, but I also need to understand where they're spending this off at. Are they getting rid of debt that Warner Brothers have and they're spinning it off into the new company also, which is one of the reasons that they're probably issuing a new stock offering and making this company its own new publicly traded company now that it's separating and it's splitting off assets. What assets are being split? Which assets are most valuable? How does this allow for Netflix to be able to compete because they have their own product category and library? Because remember, when Disney, prior to the pandemic, when Disney, or during the pandemic, when Disney was deciding, before they brought Bob Iger back, when Disney was deciding that they wanted to basically pull the majority of their catalog because they were launching Disney Plus, because they needed product to market to people to help them to subscribe to Disney Plus. That then was something that people were concerned about with Netflix, because they were saying that, did Netflix have their own catalog or enough original programming to be able to withstand the hit that Disney Plus and other new streaming companies like Peacock and stuff like that, when they were creating their own streaming companies to try to compete against the Amazons, the Netflix, the Apple Plus, or the Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus. Disney has largely sputtered in that way, right? So what exactly is this including? What are they breaking off from the company, and what are they deciding to keep? My guess is that they want to keep the majority of the assets as far as the catalog, the Friends, the Superman franchise, all of that stuff. And they want to license it, and they also want to make it exclusive for Netflix, which allows for them to be able to, leverage that product category in order to get more subscribers to the platform and continue to grow the revenue. The debt, or the cost, the ancillary costs that go along with this $83 billion, $82.7 billion acquisition is negligent compared to what value that they think that this catalog will actually be able to bring back to them, especially with a market cap somewhere in the $300 to $400 billion range. I think that this is a good investment for Netflix. Again, we're going to look at the numbers. We're going to look at the charts, and we'll be able to look at the debt, because a lot of times with these companies, what they'll do is they'll spin off a new company based off of what they want from that catalog or what they want from the company, and then they'll spin off the new company, and then they'll have a new initial public offering, a new IPO for that company. But then what makes that attractive is how much of it is going to be debt laden, right? How much debt does Warner Brothers have, and what will be spent off in order to ensure that Netflix still remain a healthy company? Because if you remember, when Disney actually bought, I believe they had bought Time Warner. Remember that? Remember when Disney, but they bought it with stock and debt. So they took on debt in order to acquire their product catalog and library. And that really started kicking Disney's ass, especially when the pandemic hit, right? So you said, does it include the studios? I don't think it includes the studios. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that they want the studios. I think that Netflix is cool. And I don't think that they should get the studios. I don't think that they want the studios, the cable network. I think it's a lot of things that they don't want. I think that they just want the product catalog in the library. You know what I'm saying? So I'm deep diving into it. It goes in to say the acquisition brings together two pioneering entertainment businesses, combining Netflix's innovation, global reach, and best-in-class streaming service with Warner Brothers' century-long legacy of world-class storytelling, beloved franchises, shows, and movies such as The Big Bang Theory. Oh, that's a big one. The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Wizard of Oz, DC Universe, Wednesday, Money Heist, Bridgerton, Adolescence, Extraction, all of that stuff. Oh, this is big, bro. This is big. Which we all knew. I know it. We all knew that Netflix was probably going to be the lead bidder in this whole thing. And we knew Comcast and other different companies like Paramount was going to be making a pitch and they bid for it. Let me see something. Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Batman. Shit, you gotta subscribe to Netflix now. You gotta subscribe. It will give Netflix control of some of the industry's most valuable intellectual property. That's crazy. You can't turn off your Netflix now. You gotta have it. You have to have Netflix now, bro. Streaming giants submitted two proposals earlier this week that vaulted it ahead of Paramount's offers, according to sources familiar with it. I know some of you are surprised that we're making this acquisition, and I certainly understand why. Over the years, we have been known to be builders, not buyers, but this is a rare opportunity and is going to help us achieve our mission to entertain the world and to bring people together. That's big. I think that Netflix did the right thing because Netflix used to be the type of company that did everything from the inside out. Did a lot of Netflix originals. They would be at a lot of the film festivals, buying up films and stuff like that, being exclusive. I think that they absolutely do big things. They spent a lot of money on comedy, Dave Chappelle and all of them. Netflix agreed to the same costly breakup fee that Paramount proposed during the auction process. This means that the would-be buyer would pay Warner Brothers billions of dollars if the deal is not completed. And so obviously it's subject to regulatory approval. I just seen something about Elizabeth Warren has something to say. Let me see what that was. Well, of course, the politicians is going to get fucking involved. Elizabeth Warren calls Netflix Warner Brothers deal a nightmare, warns of higher subscription prices and fewer choices. What? Get the fuck out of here. I hate politicians. If somebody doesn't want this subscription, then they don't have to subscribe. What do you mean? I hate these politicians. Why are they even in on this? This deal looks like an anti-monopoly nightmare that will create one massive media giant with the control of close to half of the streaming market, threatening to force Americans into higher subscription prices and fewer choices over what and how they watch while putting American workers at what? I don't get it, bro. You got more competition than ever before. You got Disney Plus, you got Apple TV, that is subsidized by the Apple brand. You have Amazon Prime that is basically subsidized, and they trying to control all the sports. You got Disney Plus. What more do you want? There's more competition than ever before, and you got YouTube, and you got the streamers, and you got Twitch, which is owned by Amazon. Why wouldn't they? Come on, man. Get these fucking politicians out of here, bro. Get these politicians out of here, bro. I'm not feeling it. Netflix is not even close to being a monopoly, bro. Netflix is not even close to being a monopoly, not even close. And the difference between Netflix and all of these other streaming companies is that Netflix is just a streaming company. Netflix is not subsidized by the rest of the businesses. So Apple is subsidizing Apple TV. Amazon is subsidizing Amazon Prime. The Disney brand and its parks and its theme parks is all subsidizing Disney Plus, Paramount, Comcast. All of these companies have other businesses that's subsidizing their streaming service. The reason why Netflix is so great is because Netflix focused 100% on streaming alone. And then you got YouTube, the YouTube universe. Come on, man. Stop, bro. Stop. Netflix needs to come throw me a bag on the low. Netflix need to throw me a bag. Anton Daniels on Netflix exclusive. Make sure you go ahead and get that out there to the people. Nah, I think YouTube is always going to be the number one. I think YouTube is always going to be number one because YouTube is controlled by the people. I mean, the company is owned by Alphabet and Google, but YouTube is owned as far as the type of content that's being put out by the people. So, all right. All right, that's what's going on. That's what's happening. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats.